Yami, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. Finally, welcome to How She Does It.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
You actually started on YouTube like a decade ago. So bring
Literally.
me back to the start, how you even got started on posting on social media.
Where do I even start? How long do we have? Okay, let me just start. Okay,
All the time in the world.
So at the time, I was living in New York and I was trying to model. At this point, I am a trainer at Equinox. I tried going to a bunch of agencies. Everyone said, no, you're never going to make it, yada, 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 yada. I'm giving you like the really short story. At one point, I was like, okay, great. If you're not going to give me the chance, I'm going to do it myself. I don't know where that came from. I truly do not know because I like think about it and I'm like, what even prompted me to start a YouTube channel? Because I wasn't a YouTube girly. I would watch like music videos and people singing covers, but I started it and I was working at Equinox at the time. And I remember telling Taz, my now husband, I found my calling. And I'll never forget. So at Equinox, I was a trainer and we would do obviously training one-on-ones. And then we would stretch our clients after. It was a whole thing. And tell me why I have this vivid memory of me stretching a client. She's laying down. I'm like on top of her, stretching her knee to chest. So like in a weird position. And I was like, I found my calling. I'm going to post on YouTube. And so it started like doing fitnessy videos, like what I eat in a day, workouts. So I started posting on YouTube and then it just kind of became my life. I filmed us moving from New York to New Hampshire my entire life. I started competing in bodybuilding there, launched my one-on-one personal training online business. Then we ended up moving to Houston and then it just kind of evolved from there.
And what's super interesting to me is like looking at your journey from a bird's eye view. Okay, you have a lot of businesses. You have your app, the Fit Club. You have your activewear brand. You did a swimsuit brand before. You have all of your socials. You have over 500,000 followers online combined. Like it's crazy what you've done and what you've grown. So do you think that you have to have a specific mindset in order to be able to accomplish those things, continue to take risks? Like what does it look like inside your mind?
Oh gosh. Can we get your therapist on the I think about that too. And I think that I just, from when I was very little, I always felt like I was made for more than just like an average life, which is interesting because now I'm like, maybe I just want an average life.
So true.
You know what I mean? When I want to do something, I try it. And I think that is actually one of my superpowers. I've never really thought about it before. I don't really give it too much thought. I just do what I want to do. And if I do it and I succeed, that's great. And if not, I try again.
That honestly makes sense. And so, like, what is failure to you?
That's also something I've been contemplating because you mentioned my activewear and it's kind of on hold right now. One thing that does not motivate me is money, which is kind of annoying for me as a business person because obviously you're in business to make money, but it was never about that for me. So in terms of my activewear, my swimwear brand, I'm not going to launch something just to launch something. Fortunately, I do have a community that will support me and will buy, but I don't want to just put something out just to put something out. I haven't had the time to dedicate to Lavavi and new designs and talking to manufacturing, and it takes a long time. I don't white label it. It's all cut and sew. Like we go through samples. A lot of people think it's just like, let's add a label to a legging and then call it good. So to answer your question about failing, I thought about closing it. I thought about just maybe that was the season and that's it. And then that for me would be a failure because I still have that in my heart and I still want to accomplish it because I still put on activewear and I'm like, this fits like crap. We need to do something about it. And so I think when I give up on something that's still in my heart, I think that's in my heart for a reason and I want to continue to pursue it. It's just about finding the time to do it.
Yeah. And you have a 2-year-old.
I do.
You're married.
I am.
You have a house full of dogs. And you have like all of these facets of your business that are really important to you, and you're active online. And so that takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of commitment. So like, what does an average day in your life actually look like?
It's funny because before I had Luna, I'm like, what did I do all day?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever felt like this. I'm just like, did I waste my life away? It's something I struggle with because I'm like, I could have been so far. If I was doing what I'm doing right now, oh, I'd be unstoppable. But I have a baby now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a double-edged sword because I think that because I had Luna, I am able to do what I'm doing now. So, I mean, I could say all these things and it makes no sense, but it's just how my mind works. I'm an overthinker. I think about the what ifs a lot. So to answer your question, on a good day, I have to get up at 5:45, 6:15, get my workout in at home, a little meditation, some journaling, quiet time, my coffee. And then if there's time, I'll get ready before Luna. If not, I wake her up. And if she's in school that day, get her ready for school, breakfast, the whole thing. And then drop her off and then work on whatever it is that I need to work on for the next 5 hours or so.
I mean, I relate because that schedule is like pretty similar to what mine looks like. But I feel like I'm like, how do you even start to prioritize? Because you do challenges with your app, right? And so it's like you're doing the challenges, you're doing the workouts, those videos have to go up. There's like maintenance on the back end. There's just so much. Like you have to build the program. You're not just the face either. Like you're building out these workout programs to support this community of women that you've built that are so locked into you. Like, is the app basically your full-time job right now?
So I didn't mention this, but Luna is home 2 days of the week, and then I have her on the weekend. And then Taz is out of town every weekend. He helps a church out in Austin, so he's driving to Austin every weekend. And I'm not saying that to like, it's more so like to give context that there is no extra time. But yes, the app is my full-time thing right now. Although I do like sponsorships and campaigns with that also helps. But the app kind of came from necessity. Not to give away too much information, but I was with a company before. I was a trainer and I was on a contract. And I think it was 4 or 5 months after Luna was born, I got an email and they said, "We're terminating your contract next week." And I said, "What?"
You're
And
kidding.
no. And I was like, what am I supposed to like?
And you're 4 or 5 months postpartum at this point? Okay.
Yeah.
Awful
And so
timing.
literally. And so I was like, crap, what am I going to do? Because that was what was holding the family together. And I was providing. Very scared, very nervous. And it was around that time that I decided to do the app and then also start a podcast and then have an event for the podcast. I was insane. And like I said earlier, it was definitely Luna or giving birth and being a mom that just changes your perspective. And you're like, I can do anything I want.
That's really crazy. I didn't realize that she wasn't in school full time.
No. And
So
she was off Monday and then she doesn't go to school on Tuesdays. And so these past 2 days, Taz and I are like, what are we gonna do?
No, honestly, that's so real. And when I was in corporate and Ivy was in daycare, I I was literally like, I can't balance it because she got sick when she was 18 months old and she had bronchitis that turned to pneumonia. We were in and out of the hospital. It was literally one of the worst times of my life because I'm a single mom and I was working 9 to 5, dealing with my daughter in and out of the hospital, not sleeping. I've never said this out loud, but I drove home from the hospital one night and almost crashed my car because I was falling asleep. I just thought to myself, like, I had to take a leave of absence from work because I couldn't manage. Like, you can't, it's like you physically cannot.
No, it's so hard.
Do it all. No, it's impossible sometimes.
I always appreciated single moms, but it wasn't until I became a mom And I have a partner that is very hands-on and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what you and all these other single moms like do. I mean, you guys are really the superheroes. I
You know that? Have you seen Sex in the City?
Of course have I seen Sex in
Okay.
the City.
So the movie, the part where like Miranda and Charlotte are like, cheers to the women that have no help.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
They're like, cheers.
No, literally, they're like, and to the women that have no help, like, oh my, how are you doing it? And it's like,
Literally.
they're probably not sleeping. That to me is it's the only thing that can go, because I go through even seasons in life where work is a lot, and I'm like, I have a deadline or I have like client deliverables. I'm like, okay, I literally can't go to bed right now. Like, I had to deal with Ivy, I had to do that kind of stuff. So like this week, for example, when she's off for those 2 days, how are you balancing that?
So like I said, Taz is also very hands-on.
Great.
And so I'm just, hey, you have her. I gotta go. When she goes to sleep, I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna get work done. I'm gonna get work done. But something happens here, like in my eyes around 6:45.
Oh, same.
That I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my body's way of protecting me, because I used to be so go, go, go. I'm going to work till midnight, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And I physically got sick from working so much.
Yeah.
I got burnt out. And so now nothing that I'm doing is that serious that needs to put me in a place where I'm not going to be okay to be productive the next day, not only for work, but also for myself and my daughter and my family. And so, yeah, that's what I've learned from the being burnt out.
That makes sense, and it's true. Like sometimes, like with brand deals and stuff like that, I'm like, listen, I'm not a neurosurgeon.
Right.
Like, it's okay. It's like an edit. It's like having that context really does help. I think it helps to maintain balance and harmony in your life. And isn't harmony your word of the year this year?
How did you know that?
I did my research.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
So how have you worked to bring harmony in all aspects of your life, work, family, etc.?
I've been kind of in a fight or flight mode for years now, but I've gotten to a point, I think it was postpartum, that I was like, I'm going to die if I don't take care of this, because I was never relaxed. And I don't mean like on the couch watching TV. I mean, like I'm sitting here and my heart rate is like 150. It was insane. And so I've just been doing things to kind of bring that down. I have an Aura ring, and I mentioned that I wanted to do the podcast and I wanted to like hard launch, have an event. I planned the event for my podcast in 3 weeks, start to finish by myself. Luna was September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 6 months old. Fast forward, I'm feeling all these things and I'm like, when did this start? And so I went on my app and I saw when I started planning the event. And so my heart rate when I was sleeping, it was like 85, 90. And
That's
so
insane. That's
it was insane. It
Just
was
for
insane.
context, a resting heart rate should be between like 40 and 50 beats per minute when you're sleeping.
Like dead asleep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I got some blood work done, the whole thing, and everything came back fine, but I wasn't fine. And so since then, I started dealing with like health anxiety. So that made it worse. I started making sure that I did my morning routine, that I did things to slow myself down, because I was not here. Like I always think everything was just like go, 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 go. And so it sounds so silly, but it's literally like meditating, making some time for yourself, things that you want to do. We talked about this offline a little bit about not having like a personal life. It's having a personal life, things that I want to do, things that like hobbies, like, because I think a lot of us that are in the social space, we do this because it's fun at first and it's like our hobby, but then it becomes a job and you're like, crap, I girl boss too hard. And then we're stuck, right?
Yeah.
And then kind of like you said, everyone thinks so not highly, but like we don't have to do all of this right now. Like there's so much urgency with influencers to go viral all the time, to get on this like trends. And it was literally driving me insane. And so this is going to sound so stupid, but it's like doing the dishes, like not being rushed to do the dishes, like go to your backyard, go for a walk. And I will say, I did start neurofeedback
Oh, I saw that. How's
recently.
that going?
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What's that like?
So neurofeedback is, I'm not a scientist, a doctor, so I'm going to please look it up for the correct definition. So neurofeedback is when your brainwaves aren't doing the right thing. Neurofeedback helps it to correct it.
Oh.
So if you're interested in neurofeedback, make sure that wherever you go, they test your brain first. Because a lot of people out here are like, yeah, we'll do it. And they're not really doing anything. They're just doing neurostimulation.
Oh.
Very different things. So for me, I went to a place here and they tested my brain and they can see all these things. I had too much alpha, which says I'm like in fight or flight, and a bunch of other things. And so I'm doing 20 sessions. I think I'm at my 7th or 8th. And what's interesting is how they do it is they put like these things on your head and you're watching TV. You can do whatever you want. You can watch whatever you want to watch. And at first I'm like, ooh, I'm going to watch an educational podcast. Like, how do I grow my business? And so what happens is when you're watching this, if your brain waves aren't doing what they need to be doing, the screen will go black and the volume lowers.
Stop.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. And then when your brain's like, oh, I can't see, it like goes back to what it needs to be doing and then it comes back. Yeah. So I'm not doing, I'm literally just sitting here and my brain's doing it, but it's correcting itself. And the interesting thing is the nurse or the doctor, no, she's not a doctor, she's a therapist, but the lady that does it for me, she's like, you can watch whatever you want. It could be like garbage television, da 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 da. And I was like, no, I need to be like using my time wisely, you know? And she's like, you don't, but whatever. I don't know what it was. I think I couldn't find something educational that like excited me. So I put on the Mormon Wives on Hulu.
Oh, I love it. I binged it.
Insane. So anyway, the first time I watched it after she took it off, she's like, huh, that's so interesting. You haven't been this relaxed since we
Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so don't tell me I have one episode left. I have my next session on Thursday, but I'm obsessed.
Me too. And they started filming a season 2. So
I know. I can't wait. Like, I want to be friends with them.
Same.
Hey, Demi.
She's so pretty.
I love her.
She's so pretty.
And I was following her, didn't realize it was her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry. Tangent.
No, but honestly, that's really interesting. And here's what, like, I find there's a theme. So it's interesting because you built your community, like your app, out of this place of like you had just lost this contract, right? So you were like, let me pivot and build this place and this community of women. And essentially you've done this several times now.
Oh, yeah.
You, like with the modeling, there was like this rejection. So you pivot to YouTube. You're like, I'm creating my own opportunity. No one can take this away from me. You lose your contract, rejection in some form. You pivot away. I'm creating my own opportunity. No one can take this from me. And it always leads you towards your purpose and this bigger vision, which is so amazing. And that's honestly in entrepreneurship, I find like when you look at things from that perspective, when you're instead of seeing it as like the end of the world or like letting it totally defer you, you're just like, actually, there's a new door now. And so with all of those things that have happened, now you have this beautiful online community on literally like every platform, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What is your purpose behind these communities? What is your driving force in creating these spaces for women?
Before I answer that, I do want to say that I did think it was the end of the world at that time. Like, I'm not. I will cry. I'm a crier. I'm emotional. I cry. And then I figure it out. But
But
To
you
answer your question,
persevere. I think that's like what's more important. Feel your feelings and then
yeah,
like put it into action, which
yeah,
is clearly what you do.
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The question. Okay, the question.
Yeah.
I think for me, like thinking back, it's always come back to like feeling welcome. Like I always want women to feel welcome and feel accepted and loved and seen. Because I never was. Oh my God, why am I gonna cry? It's just like I see all these communities that say they're inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
but they're really not inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of like frustrated me, pissed me off. And that's actually where the name for the app came from. I wanted like a club that welcomed everybody. It wasn't just like, I didn't want to make it about me because it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about women coming to a place where they can, it sounds so cliche, but feel accepted, seen. Doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what part of your journey you're on. If you're postpartum, if you're, trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, it doesn't matter. And that's essentially what it was for everything.
When you're approaching a new platform, because I'm assuming like maybe TikTok is probably your newest where you've grown a following, do you feel scared, intimidated to start over, like start from zero, even when you're making like a business page or something like that? Like, how are you feeling? What's your thought process behind starting something new and how do you move forward with it?
In terms of the business, I don't really post on a fitness TikTok or not fitness, fit club TikTok
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have the time. I think I have to organize myself a little bit better if I wanted to do that, but I just don't know when. I think I'm at a point where the app is just me right now, where we're still so young that
Mm-hmm.
I could pretty much like market it, quote unquote, on my page. But to answer your question about how I'm feeling, I went viral posting like the mornings in my life with Luna, my baby. And I was doing it every single day, every night, and I got burnt out.
Yeah.
And then I get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, I could have had 1 million followers. But I was dying inside. So
Yeah.
point is that when I post now, I don't really know what to post. And we're talking on my podcast later. So that's what I was actually going to ask you about how like you do it because I just don't know. It's like a fear of like, okay, you just watched me for morning routines, but do you even like me?
What? I feel like that's the content that gets people so like obsessed with you, basically. That
What, the morning routines?
yeah, like builds.
Yeah, I don't do them anymore.
But no, but I'm like, but they would, I feel like building a platform off of that and like going viral off of that, it's like boom, then you have that community and they're like bought into who you are that you can easily pivot to other stuff. Like they're just
Yeah.
like, oh cool, she's now doing this or she's doing this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, my TikTok is very different now than it was when I was going viral.
Mm,
Like I can't even break 4,000 views, maybe.
that's TikTok right now. I'm
I
like,
know.
don't even, I just post and ghost. I'm like, see ya. Because I just can't. Like I'm just whatever. The growth that I've seen on Instagram versus
Oh, same.
TikTok, like I've grown in 4 months on Instagram, the amount I've grown in a year on TikTok. So yeah, like I
Wow.
started in July. I was at like 2,000 followers. I'm at like 90 something thousand now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, but it's
Hey.
just like the algorithm is just doing different things right now. So
Yeah.
it's a really good opportunity for people. But it's just interesting to see like that shift, and it really does get to people. I think that that's what other people don't realize is that the lower views and all that kind of stuff can be very discouraging because it's like you're not only showcasing your life, so you're being vulnerable in this way, but then you're putting in all of this effort to edit and post it
Yeah.
and get it up, and then for it to like not, I don't like to say it flops because
Right.
it's not my perspective on it, but for it to not perform or do what you in your mind want
Yeah.
it to do, it can be a little bit discouraging in
Yeah,
that sense.
totally. And I don't expect for every video to go viral.
Yeah.
That's not the expectation by any means. And I don't post to go viral. That's not what I want either.
Mhm.
But it's more so like you said, like you put in all this work editing, filming, um, and then it doesn't even get shown to your followers.
Mhm.
That's it. But
I know.
I know. But meh,
I
it
know.
is what it is.
Yeah, and it's like you have to focus on what you can control.
That's what I was gonna say too. Like I can't. Oh, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like As long as I enjoyed the video, I guess.
Yeah.
Because for me, I will say, I started posting on Instagram when it first came out. I was living in New York at the time. And for me, it was like my photo album. It was like, I'm going to share. I had no idea like you could follow people. Like this is like the very beginning. I was like, I'm going to post like my New York life.
So this is like 2012-ish.
Yeah. And I was 24, 25. And I had just moved to New York, and I was like, I just gonna post, like I would post pictures of like my dressing room at my hair show. Like it was stupid things. And so I think it would be beneficial if I would like go back to that thinking, like sharing what I like, not sharing what I think people are gonna like. It's a bit different now because it's my job and it is very fitness heavy. But I think, I mean, for anybody dealing with like the discouragement of, you know, the views and stuff, I think going back to the beginning of why you started posting.
Yeah.
I mean, that only works if you started posting for like creativity, not to go viral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to become a billionaire.
Yeah. It's so true. But you said that earlier. You said like it's like a double-edged sword because you're not focused on the money. Like it's a business. Like you have to take that into consideration. But I do think that success comes when you focus on your purpose and what that looks like.
Right.
You know, so for anybody listening, like I think what would be really interesting is to talk about what you think is your secret sauce to building a community that actually clicks download, because clearly you've had a lot of like offerings in terms of you've had your own activewear brand. Like people have bought a product from you, they've trusted you enough to do that, and they give you money monthly for your app. And so how do you translate, because it's one thing to grow an audience online, it's another thing to be able to monetize that.
Yeah.
What do you think is the secret strategy to be able to build a community like that that's going to trust you enough to buy?
You got good questions. Remember when I was looking for a therapist?
Honestly, let's schedule it in.
Okay, thank you. No, I think there's no strategy for me. There's never been a strategy, and I think that might be the downfall, but also my superpower, because there is no hidden agenda when I'm talking to somebody online. I'm showing, like, I mean, if you see my Instagram, you see that I'm a mess on stories most of the time.
I would call that authentic.
No, it's just like I'm talking to a friend. I'm not here like, okay, I'll be funny for a second. I think about all the time, like I work from home. There's no need for me to dress up, but you could say you can take a picture, post it on Instagram, and then change. That sounds awful for me. Ugh. And no shade to people that do it, because whatever, you like fashion that much. I just don't. Like, I like fashion, but that's not authentic to me. So I'm not going to do all that just to look pretty on social media. So I'm not always like shoving a product down your face. I'm not launching every single week. It's just when it comes, it comes. And I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer, but there's literally no strategy.
I think that's important though for people to understand, because one, that's disarming. Like for me to hear that, like seeing like you grow community after community, it's like if you stay true to yourself, the people will come.
Yeah.
And I think that being authentic is so important. And in this world where so many people want the following, like they want the aesthetic of it, right? The number behind their name, like the notoriety that can come with that. And like there, it is, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think it's like cool because it's like your life doesn't change unless you change it. Like you can have a lot of followers and that can literally mean absolutely nothing. Or you can have a lot of followers and turn it into a business. That's what I think is cool.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like the optics, like it's like, who cares? That's kind of the mindset I have. I think it's more important and cooler when you're impacting people and you do that. Like I see your story posts and women are getting up at 7, 6, 5 a.m. and doing the workouts. Like, how does that feel to actually have like turned this rejection into a trajectory of a business that's now impacting people in a real way? People are losing weight, getting healthy, and like finding themselves again.
It feels really good. Like it actually feels surreal
Yeah.
because so I have very bad imposter syndrome. When I launched it, I think I was maybe 50 pounds overweight, 55 pounds. And I didn't feel like it was time to launch an app because I didn't look like the person that would launch an app, a fitness app at that. But that's when I was like, no, 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 no. You have to do it now, because if you don't and you wait till the perfect time, perfect body, you're doing all these women a disservice. You are showing them that they can only do something when their body's perfect. And again, that's like kind of weird, right? Because it's like a fitness app, but like I'm showing you that you can start over and get to where you want to be. You just have to show up consistently, give yourself grace. So yeah, that was like full send. I'm scared as crap, but let's do it. And it's been going really well. And it's kind of cool because I am my customer, right? Like I showed up, I show you, like the program is still there. The first program is still there. And I think about like, do I delete it? Do I, you know? But no, it's there. And then you can see that like putting in the work, showing up for yourself, not being perfect, just showing up day in and day out and just giving yourself the grace, and then you'll get to where you want to be.
Honestly, I really love that. And like you said, like you didn't quote unquote like have the ideal body to be launching like a fitness app. And I'm like, there's no ideal body for fitness. And I started getting consistent with workouts a couple years ago. Like I think this is in like the pandemic. Basically, I bought a Peloton bike. And so I was like, because it was COVID.
Yeah.
And the gyms were closed. Like, I couldn't do anything. So I'm like, I need this bike in my house
Yeah.
to like move my body. And like one of the mentalities that I've really attached myself to is like, you are an athlete no matter what.
Yes.
You don't have to compete. You don't
Yes.
have to do anything. Like you are an athlete. And I think that that's such a welcoming space that you've created where you don't have to look a certain way and you get to show the proof. Like losing 50 pounds, you're postpartum. Losing 50 pounds is incredible. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. And being able to be like, hey, this program works. P.S. is
Literally.
like really a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool to see. And what's even cooler is that a lot of, how do I say this? A lot of women that are in the app don't like to post on social media. They feel, I don't want to use the word embarrassed because I'm not embarrassed for them. It's they just don't feel comfortable with what they look like or their weight gain or whatever. And so what's really cool is when they send me the DMs and we talk privately and they share their journeys. And like I said earlier, it's literally surreal that I am able to help somebody somehow in whatever way, because I just think back to when, so I didn't talk about this, but I auditioned for a dance team 3 times. And I didn't get in it because I was too fat. And I was like, what does that have to do with dance?
No.
But anyway, I just think about like that girl and how I'm here now and I'm helping other people become like the healthiest, best versions of themselves. It's like a really cool, like, how did I even get here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
And it's honestly amazing. And I just like, I look at your community and I really admire it because I think that as soon as you start, well, anybody who's tried to post online, one, it's like, it's hard to build a community, but then it's what the secret sauce is actually building a community that cares, building a community that's tapped in. And you seem to have, well, not seem to, you've accomplished that multiple times over and over. And I think that's really cool for people to be able to use you essentially as a case study. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
oh my God, you're so nice. You, because we think, maybe not you, but I think, I'm like, oh, I could always be better. I see all these other communities are like cult-like. And I'm like, oh, I want to be that. I want our community to be that strong, or I want to accomplish this. I'm not there yet. And then you're over here hyping me up. And I'm like, oh, is that what it looks like?
100%. Like 100%. And I think it's so cool to be able to, and you never really worked in like corporate, right? You were just like, you
Oh,
tried.
no, I did.
Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah. Girl,
So
I'm
then
old.
how did you even leave that then? How did you like exit that and even start on this journey?
I worked in corporate. After I graduated college, I did marketing or field marketing for Fuse Beverages. I was the marketing manager for all of Florida. Long story short, we got bought out by Coke, Vitamin Water. They gave us a severance package. Then I took that, moved to New York, and I was like, I'm gonna pursue modeling. I'm gonna live in the West Village on Bleecker Street, a couple blocks from Carrie Bradshaw's house. And I was like, I'm not gonna get a job. I'm gonna live off of the severance package. I don't have many regrets, but that maybe I should have gotten a job right off the get. And so long story short, I was doing like these dead end jobs, like these like sampling things, whatever. And then money was getting dry. And so I took a job with Muscle Milk doing field marketing for New York or the tri-state area. And I was in corporate every day. I was doing stuff, events on the weekend. Then I had an event. It was, I believe it was a Tough Mudder. I wasn't in it, I was working it. And so we show up, we set up, do the whole thing. And then my contact that I've been talking to, he's like, oh, if you want to run the race, go ahead. And I was like, okay, sure. And so I did. And it was fine. And then we finished the race, and it was at the end of the race, a guy came up to me and he's like, hey, I just have to tell you, you inspired me the entire way to not stop. And I was like, oh my God, that's so kind. Like I'm a nobody. Anyway, he was so nice. Turned out to be a trainer at Equinox. We followed each other on Instagram. And then one day he messaged me and he's like, hey, I know we haven't spoken since the race, but we're hiring if you want to check it out. And I'm like, oh, I'm not a trainer by any means. And he's like, oh, they put you through the education, they put you through everything, and then you can just get certified through them. And I was like, that could be cool. And so I went, interviewed, got the job, left Muscle Milk, and then I met my now husband.
That is wild.
It was really, really, really crazy.
Like, what a pivot.
I know. And then I got the job, got certified, did the whole thing. And that's when I started my YouTube.
And just like pivoted into like fitness, health.
Mm-hmm. And then throughout the years, I got certified in yoga. I just followed what was interesting to me. And then, yeah, here we are.
That is wild.
I know. I feel like I've lived like 15 different lives.
Yeah, because even when I was like, oh, she's always been like entrepreneurial, never been in corporate. No, you've been in corporate. You did that whole thing. Like, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I hated it.
Same.
And I think back and I'm like, I could never.
There was this fear that I had originally when I first left where I was like, okay, like I'll give it 6 months and then if I need to, I'll start applying again. Like I worked in sales. You can always get a sales job, even if you're like, I'll work for commission, you know? There was no fear for me about like leaving the money.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever, the money's always going to be there in sales. And my mom's like, you're never going back. And I was like, well, if I have to, like, I have no ego around it. I'll do what I need to get paid. Because I left when I had a baby and I was a single mom. Right. Like, it was risky. And now I'm like, oh, never.
Never.
I never, like,
Never.
having the freedom over your own schedule is unmatched. Yeah. And I think that one thing that I've always been drawn to, which not everyone is, but it's like having your... like what comes with this influencer space, right, is brand deals. Like you could get a brand deal right now and you're not getting paid till February, right? Literally. Like people don't understand that. Like if I could go back in time, well, maybe I wouldn't have quit if I had known. Honestly, how long it takes for money to come in. Like you really have to build a significant runway, in my opinion, in order to feel comfortable. But totally. I don't care about feeling comfortable. It's like you have to be willing to have this like uncapped potential and that you will be uncomfortable in the process of that. Like that's just the nature of it, and you have to get used to it. Yeah. Because if you're not, if you're just going to be stressed, like if you need that consistent income, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
Literally.
I don't know what to tell you. It's because it's just, you can build that, but it takes time to build that.
It's right what I was going to say. Don't quit your job yet.
I always recommend the book 2 Weeks Notice by Amy Porterfield, because I read it and it talks about picking a quit date and all of those types of things. And I ended up like rage quitting, basically. So
I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Literally. Because I was just showing up to work every day feeling angry. Like, sitting there and I'm like, this is not my personality. Like, you see me, I'm pretty smiley. So I'm just like, this is not me. And there was no reason. Great boss, great company, yada, yada. So yeah, I was just like, whatever. But it's interesting that you like went to New York to do all of these things, and then it totally just spiraled into something else. But you also met your husband along the way.
I did.
Which is amazing. Choosing a partner is one of the most important decisions you'll make in your life. So what is it about him? Because you've said he's very supportive. He's a very hands-on dad. He's such a good dad with Luna. What was different about him?
Like, how deep do I want to get here right now? So, without giving too much away, I did meet him when I was with somebody else. I was already 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the other guy because we had our separate things. He was just so kind from the very beginning. So he went to school for exercise science. His knowledge, like, I was like, wow, you're so smart. That's so hot. But he's a boy from New Hampshire. Really kind. He was very charming. And I thought it was like his game, you know?
Yeah.
Not his game. No.
Just how he is.
Not his game. Yeah. But it wasn't until I gave birth that I realized that I made the right choice. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. What the frick? Maybe I shouldn't do podcasts when I'm on my period. He did everything when I forget how long, but like right after birth to however long, he did everything but breastfeed, you know? And I had never felt most supported, more loved. And I mean, he's not perfect by any means, but I think at the end of the day, like the support and it's just so unmatched. Like, it's crazy. Like, he supports me in all my crazy things. Like, I've pivoted a lot, and this poor man is still.
No, because that honestly that's very real. Like, to have a partner that supports you and you're like, okay, I'm building an app now. Okay, I'm doing, like, you know what I mean? That it does take a very different type of person, different type of personality to be able to support that. And before we started recording, he was in here helping you with your mic, figuring it all out. And so it's just like, one of the things that's super important to me, a lot of single women, a lot of single moms follow me, and it's important for me to shed light on what that looks like so that women can pick the right guy, because it's so important and makes the difference between you being successful or you being
totally
depressed.
Yeah, because I would not be able to do what I'm doing without him. Like, I mentioned this earlier, like, if I need to do something, he's got Luna. Like, and he doesn't complain about it. He's not babysitting. He's the dad. Like, one thing, when I was posting the blogs back in the day, it would break my heart because all these women would comment things like, oh, my husband won't get up with me. He was like stayed up all night playing video games. What?
That's insane.
Literally insane. And not to discredit him, but he's doing the bare minimum.
Oh, I so feel you. I hear you. It's true. Yeah. And it's like, that's another thing that I've talked about too, because I went through my own trajectory where I was like, would be super grateful for certain things where it's just like, dude, raise your standards. Like, that's actually bare minimum SHIT. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, choosing to have a child is two people coming together and being like, yep, we're going to have a baby and all of those things. And I think that for so long, obviously women are pregnant, we carry the babies, we breastfeed. So there's just been like this default mode. But now I think that because the world is moving in a different place, because a lot of the time now women are making more money, they're providing in a different type of way. Those roles have to look different and more supportive from both partners in different ways. And I really believe in creating like this holistic environment where everyone's supportive in every type of way and just like living harmoniously in that sense.
Yeah. No, and it's totally worked for us. There's times that I've made more money. There's times that he's made more money, and it's never been like a competition. It's never been like, oh, you stay home or I don't know. It's just what we have works really, really well. We're just trying to figure out how to work together.
And it's like, it's an adjustment too when you bring a baby into it. And I know she's 2, but anybody who has a child knows that it takes years to get used to. And especially when your career keeps changing, those demands keep changing, your schedule is going to have to shift and you're going to have to be flexible. So thinking about the future, what does the future hold for you and your brands?
Oh gosh. Well, I have the itch again for Lavavi.
Okay.
So
that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. And with the app, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I do want to do more community events. We only did one last year, but I want to do some in the new year, possibly a retreat.
Ooh,
and I know. Yeah. And then hopefully I can hire help so I don't drown.
Yeah.
But I used to be a big planner, but now I'm kind of more go with the flow because it's easier on my nervous system.
You're like, I'm not doing all of this neurofeedback to just
for nothing. Literally. But no, I'm just gonna. You ever like? How do I say this? Like, you always want the next best thing, but your life is pretty good. Like, what else do I don't need anything else. And so I'm gonna not like coast, but I'm gonna keep adding new programs to the app, trying to make it better every new launch or whatever. Yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
100% it does. And I love that. I think it's really important to, especially with kids, they grow so quick, learning how to enjoy the moment and be present is an art, especially
it's so hard.
Yeah, when you have like all of these things and you're pulled in all of these different directions, it's like you have to actively work to stay present.
Yeah.
Well, this is amazing, and I really
we could keep talking forever.
I know. I really appreciate you coming on. So where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's at Yami Mufdi. TikTok is the same, just a little underscore because I forgot the old password and I can't get the and then I started going viral. I was like, I can't change it now.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, because I started TikTok not knowing what the heck to do. I did not know how to use it.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you think so. And then YouTube, Yami Mufti, and then my activewear and swimwear brand is Lavavi. Podcast is Better Than Before, and then fitness app is the Fit Club.
See what I mean? She does it all. I'm like, where can people find you? 6 minutes later. No, but like, honestly, I love it. And I'm super excited to see anybody who's listening. If you're intrigued with her app, she has like a free week trial and you will be obsessed if you download it. She's so authentic. She's so beautiful and her workouts actually work. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And that is how she does it.
Thank you so much. I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.